Hello, I am Jennifer Contact. On behalf of Shakira Sharif, Bethany Patterson, and myself, welcome to today's presentation describing an action research project on guided peer review for graduate level writing. Why would graduate students need help with their writing? To answer that question, we must look at the last few decades of change in the way the United States teaches writing. In the 1980s, the focus on writing mechanics in primary schools began to shift towards a more emotional and motivational concept. Lucy Calkin was the first to urge primary school instructors towards teaching students to write from their own imaginations through the use of daily journals, as well as encouragement for students to find their own voice. Unfortunately, the change of the primary objective from sentence structure, grammar, and punctuation has resulted in generations of students that lack writing proficiency at the college level. In classes for students who have English as a second language, or ESL, the rigor applied to written assignments is even less. These lower expectations for ESL students support the high amount of writing issues noted in the new distance learning ESL graduate students. Many online ESL students show a lack of understanding of verb forms and punctuation. Also, because of the low standards given to ESL writing assignments in public schools, those students who enroll in undergraduate and graduate programs report shock and dismay at the demands placed on them when asked to create scholarly research reports. It is easy to think that by the time a student graduates from secondary education or high school, they would be taught a higher level of writing. While education in STEM classes has improved dramatically over the last decade, by the time a student enters their 9th year of school, English classes are primarily focused on Calkin's pedagogy and literature. Even in advanced English courses, the focus is on interpretation and vocabulary rather than the sentence structure and syntax. Many colleges provide English courses for the undergraduates in need. Unfortunately, these courses do not provide one-to-one help with instructors, as they typically have over 15 students. Undergraduate instructors see this issue, and many add remedial work into their lesson plans, but tend to inflate grades to compensate. College graduates going on to master's or doctorate level programs are simply not prepared for the academic level of scholarly writing. How do students feel about getting help with writing? Students value their instructors' suggestions over those of their peers, yet they prefer help from their peers over going to the university writing center. Interestingly, women feel more nervous than men about giving honest feedback to their peers. So if a student can't get help from an instructor, they tend to look towards their peers, but if their peers are mostly women, they will not get effective help at all. What do instructors think about helping? Most instructors are fine with offering a few days to catch up if a student is running behind. Those that do offer help tend to stop offering it within the first year of teaching. Even so, instructors expect students to write well and follow formatting and written structure. Disenchanted instructors and students afraid to tell each other the truth or seek professional writing help make for difficulty in attaining student writer proficiency. Let's take a look at some recent research regarding writing proficiency policies of universities. Most universities add remedial classes for students with poor English grades, which cost extra money to students. As we spoke about in a previous slide, remedial classes are too large for one-to-one help. University writing centers have been shown to only help the top 40% of the students that go to them. Writing proficiency is not addressed in most university English courses after the first 2 semesters. These issues result in a lack of writing ability, but grades are inflated to adjust for this deficit. The issues we just talked about are, at least in part, the reason for the following statistics. 45% of college students do not improve their writing skills after the first year of college. 13% of college graduates have achieved writing proficiency. That means 87% have not. With 3 million people in the United States enrolled in post-baccalaureate or graduate programs, we are looking at about 2.6 million people entering graduate programs without knowing how to produce scholarly content in a proficient manner. The issue of the lack of writing proficiency is incredibly important to distance learning programs. The change in learning format also includes a change in social and instructional interaction. First, online or distance learning courses are time and place independent. A student is able to get onto the course's learning management system and work on lessons, take exams, or watch instructional video lectures whenever and wherever they please. This means that the student must be willing to explore the learning management system on their own for both instructions and course structure. The skills required are the same for most brick-and-mortar universities, but there is less contact with others when a student has problems. Instructors have only students' writing and online presence from which to form an opinion, so a high level of writing skill and a knowledge of appropriate paper formatting is expected. The ability to navigate the learning management system and communicate through email, as well as understand electronic media, are also integral parts of the online learning experience. The way students and their instructor interact has the ability to form either a highly cohesive and lively cohort or one that is simply going through the motions. Online college courses presently have little to no standardized, integrated, collaborative, or socialization elements. There are few collaborative assignments, and those courses that do have them rely on the perception of instructors for forming collaborative groups. With the written word, there are many chances for tone to be misinterpreted or transferred from the reader's emotions. The toll of poor writing proficiency for online graduate students is profound. There is confusion when points are removed for grammatical mistakes, and anger at being asked to revise theses many times. Depending on the instructor, the poor writing may be ignored, resulting in further confusion as students begin research. Finally, graduate students who do manage to earn their degree and move on to a career may find negative attitudes towards written reports and interaction in their work environment. So, what could be done? Out of the many solutions in the past, those solutions that seem to have the best viability are located on your screen. Institution-based remedial classes, which are provided by the university, are classes students must pass in order to continue into college-level English courses. As I said previously, they are costly to students and do not offer one-to-one help. Adjusted rubrics for grade inflation. This practice involves changing the way an assignment is graded by making more points possible for poorer caliber work. The practice gives students a false sense of their ability and is not helpful for them in future employment. Institution-wide writing centers. Writing centers employ students and professionals that review papers for many kinds of errors, then send back the reviewed document for the student to change. As mentioned previously, writing centers only help the top half of students who actually seek help from the writing center. Many students, including ESL and those from disadvantaged backgrounds, have reported feelings of intimidation and lack of time as reasons why they do not use writing centers. Also, critics have mentioned that students rely too heavily on writing centers and do not learn to correct their own errors in future papers. Guided self-policing of common mistakes. Students are given documents or a video explaining common writing errors with the expectation that they will review their own papers and change their writing as necessary to be more scholarly. With self-policing, there is a great chance that many errors will not be found, or that the student will not be able to correct the problem without further help. Research has found that this activity is given low priority by students and does not positively affect writing ability. Course-dependent peer review. In a peer review, students are grouped together and asked to read each other's papers for errors prior to submitting them. This activity has been shown to improve overall writing ability for ESL learners. The use of VoiceThread as a form of peer review has also been shown to increase writing scores for all students. In general, students have reported high interest for peer review. Now that the foundation has been laid, let's look at the current problem. Students are arriving at graduate-level distance learning programs lacking the ability to appropriately voice their ideas to both peers and instructors. This ability is a key to student success in both classroom and career environments. Our action research study has outlined a solution for online university programs that combines many of the other solutions into a single, cohesive addition to beginning courses. We call it Guided Peer Review. It includes review before assignments are submitted, allowing for changes without a lowered grade or the need for inflated grades. A guide in the form of an instructor or teaching assistant so that students learn the correct format and syntax as they review. Student pairs to encourage students to be honest in their reviews as well as foster social interaction. And finally, collaborative discourse, which promotes constructivist thinking and a higher level exchange of ideas than discussion forums and assignments can do alone. The mention of constructivism leads into the theoretical basis for the guided peer pair idea. The improvement of writing ability through the use of peer interaction can be explained by Vygotsky's constructivist theory. Learning is a social event in which new information is built upon existing background knowledge. Through interaction with others, new ways to perceive information and correction of misconceptions can occur. Jones' bioecology-based model describes 3 concentric rings of social influence on writing. The outer ring is the social interplay that occurs at conventions and with professionals in the field, while the middle ring of influence is university policy and publishing standards. The inner ring consists of the students' interactions with instructors and peers. It is this inner ring that is the focus of this study. By providing peer feedback from a teaching assistant to student writers and creating a reliable connection between an instructor, a teaching assistant, and student, it is thought that misconceptions in formatting, grammar, and punctuation can be challenged and changed for students with poor writing ability. Between the submission of this action research study and the presentation, the current pandemic has caused a delay in its implementation. This was mainly due to the influx of new students to the distance learning platform. As of this point in time, guided peer review may begin this fall, but we are waiting for word from the department head. Even so, the participants will be graduate students within a master's level or higher distance learning program. of an age between 24 and 60 years. We are aiming for an equal number of male and female participants. Diversity of sample for race and socioeconomic status is anticipated, and English as a second language students will be included. Our study methods will be of a quantitative, pre-test, post-test design for the first course term measured, and causal comparative in nature. This is a non-experimental action research study, meaning that change will be ongoing and we will be altering the guided peer review components as the course continues in order to create the highest efficacy possible. Students will be placed randomly into pairs, then directed to join a small collaborative group on a learning management system. Links and files to APA formatting guidelines, the most common grammatical errors, and punctuation rules will be offered within each small group. A teaching assistant will be available to the pairs for answers and guidance, but will not participate in the paper review. The second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth week of the 8-week course, student pairs will be directed to review each other's papers and encouraged to use the chat feature embedded into the small group to explain and talk to one another. Student perceptions will be obtained through online surveys, and actual increase in writing ability will be measured through a counting of unique corrective comments made by instructors in submitted papers. We have started collection of links and documents to provide student pairs during the study, but the actual implementation has not yet begun. The input of the Writing Center is necessary in order to gain approval for this study, and as of this date we have not yet had a reply. One idea we have had is to perform a pre-study survey to the entire student body of the university regarding attitudes and perceptions of academic writing in general and the students' own perception of their writing abilities. Thank you so much for listening, and what follows is references, but thank you again, and hope you have a good day.